watch SpongeBob before we get depressed.
Speaking of growing up and getting depressed...
Oh, we started...
Podcast episode 2.
Neato.
So, I put a thing on Twitter saying what this was about, for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, which I'm actually thrilled to see that some of you do, at Simple Cinema. But I said we were going to do something regarding Twin Peaks, and we figured it would be a good time to talk about that, and the filmography of David Lynch, because Morgan has taken it upon himself to watch all of David Lynch's films, because he's always meant to. I have seen all of them as well. I did not watch them in preparation for this, so some of them I don't remember too much about, but I have pretty good recollections of my thoughts as to each of them. And we're going to talk about them in this episode of the podcast. I think we might do this as a regular thing. I was thinking after this we would probably need to do something a bit more lighthearted, because David Lynch is he's a great director who knows how to suck out your soul. Okay. So I figured a good set of directors we could, or just movies we could do would be like, we could do like Studio Ghibli movies. We could do the Coen brothers, movies that have funny in them or whimsy. Because Lynch, he is not. He is funny. He is not whimsical.
There's a bunch of gross shit on this controller.
I'm sorry about that.
That's weird. I don't really understand. Anyway.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
That first, and then we're going to go in ascending order.
You cannot talk about the last 3 episodes.
Okay. Morgan, so that means you're on episode what of season 2?
I don't know, like 18, I don't remember.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about the Twin Peaks first, because that's the only TV show we made, and it's different. And then we're going to go in, ascending order of Morgan's favorites. But Twin Peaks is relevant because it's got the revival, and everybody's going insane over it, and neither one of us have seen it yet, because we both need to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't talk about that, sadly. But, I mean, literally everyone says it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't heard a single detractor for it, and considering it's a Lynch thing, it has to be good.
Yeah.
Because he's so... Like, his popularity is kind of... I guess we can outline our thoughts on him as well with Twin Peaks, but...
God bless.
But, he's enigmatic. Not because, I mean, he is, but his popularity, I feel like, is astounding considering how inaccessible he is. I mean, he's accessible to people like us, but that's because we're weird.
I mean, I can talk. I don't even know if I would call him accessible to me.
Yeah.
It just makes my brain hurt.
He makes movies for himself.
Yeah.
Which I admire.
As an artist should.
And I do think that's the way to go. And, he's very loose on interpretations. He's very centered around dream logic. I mean, even his most coherent things are weird as shit.
Yeah. And
that's kind of why I like him, because I can't really say there's anybody I've ever seen, like, even people who, like, try to mimic him, they can't quite capture that. Like, there's some movies that try to capture a lot of what he did. The 2 movies that I can think of, the 3 that come to mind are Lost River, Southland Tales, and The Box. And I really like Lost River a lot. I'm one of the only people who does. I think if more Lynch fans maybe watched that movie, they'd dig it. It was Ryan Gosling's movie. And
Ryan Gosling.
And Southland Tales is a beautiful hot mess of a film, and I love it.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Undeniably. It's like Richard Kelly was like, I get to make a major motion picture, so I'm going to be David Lynch and Terry Gilliam and make a comedy about the end of the world. And he did. And honestly, I really like that movie. I want to talk about that in like a podcast or a video one day, because everybody hates it. I don't. I understand.
I'd have to watch it again to like make a podcast on it.
You should watch it with me, because something about that. I mean, that movie's just really funny.
Yeah.
Even when it's not trying to. I mean, like, it's funny just because, like, everybody's like, this movie's just so unintentionally funny. And I'm like, it's entirely cast of comedians.
Yeah.
It's pretty intentional.
I don't really...
And The Box is just kind of boring and just has Lynch's weird dialogue because Richard Kelly didn't really know what he was doing, but oh well. So, David Lynch, he's what, 70 now?
71.
71?
Yeah.
And he still makes some good-ass movies.
Well,
he's,
makes a good-ass TV show. His last movie was Inland Empire, and that was 11 years ago.
God, was it really? Wow. Well, he's returned. And apparently he's in top form. But, Twin Peaks. I've been rewatching season 1. I have seen all of the show previously. I think that the pilot of Twin Peaks could almost be considered a movie in and of itself.
It's certainly feature length.
It's an hour and a half long. It's on Netflix. Go watch it if you haven't. It's one of those things that you got to be in a specific mindset to watch it, but like, don't expect the normal kind of crime procedural type deal you would get with a show that has Twin Peaks' premise, because it's not that.
No.
It's satire and also very supernatural. It doesn't appear to be at first, but slowly gets there. It's satire of soap operas mainly because it feels like a soap opera.
It actually became one.
Yeah, in season 2 it did. But in season 1, you could totally tell that he's riffing on that kind of stuff just because every character that becomes important that episode, I was just like imagining their soap opera cliche role. It's like, oh, Laura turns up dead, and we have like the love triangle between the bad boy and the jock, and we have the best friend character, and like just so many different things you can identify trope-wise. And then Lynch is like, I'm not going to do literally any of what you expect with them. In fact, I will just... Expectations? What expectations? Fuck you. This is Twin Peaks, bitch.
Blackledge.
The Blackledge. And I guess... I still don't even think I completely understand what happens in the show, primarily because of the episodes you haven't seen, which I won't spoil, because I'm very curious to see how it starts up again, considering how Season 2 ends, because I'm just baffled at how we can go from there. It's very weird. You would say Season 1 is stronger than Season 2, yes?
Yeah?
As a whole.
Because I have a brain.
Yeah. It's just more focused. I think we both agree with...
It's kind of more focused, and it's, like, written by the people who created the show.
Yes.
And, like, were able to achieve their vision and what they wanted to do for a while. And then people at CBS were like, nah!
And that's the thing that bugs me about
They
that.
didn't even say anything. They just went, nah!
Is that, like, Twin Peaks is such a quintess...
It's peanut butter, baby.
Excuse our digressions.
Yes.
It's that... Fuck, I even forgot what I was talking about. I think... Oh yeah, it's when they get other people to assume creative control of it, and they, like, kind of try to ground the story and solve Laura Palmer's death, and that's not what the show is about.
Yeah.
It's, like, it's just one of those unspoken rules that you would go into doing that. Like, people like Twin Peaks because it's weird, not because of it, like, the mystery. Honestly, I didn't even really give a fuck about the mystery. I just wanted to keep seeing what would happen. Because it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, like all the... One thing I really love about the pilot of that is how everyone reacts to Laura Palmer's death. Like, they all already know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, no one actually tells anyone that Laura is dead when they, like, start breaking down and realizing it. Like, her friends in the classroom, they both start crying as soon as they hear the announcement playing, like, they just know. Her dad knows, like, right before, and, like, the mom is obviously already worried, like something was destined to happen, and you're just like, how do all these people know this shit? I gotta find out more. It's just so intriguing. And then Kyle MacLachlan shows up, and just... Good God. What a man.
Diane arriving outside the border of Twin Peaks. smells strangely of clean air and trees. We'll have to ask
Got
someone.
to know what kind of trees these are. Douglas fir.
Douglas firs.
The dialogue in Twin Peaks is the most Lynchian thing.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think having watched his whole Eve now,
Oh, heads up, we're not going to be talking about Dune. David Lynch barely even made that movie anyway.
Yeah, it's a little known fact that Dune actually was not directed by David Lynch. It was directed by a man
who goes by the name of Alan Smithy. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Oh yeah, he
very notorious.
Believe he put together the theatrical cut of Alien 3.
Yeah, he might have had something to do with that. Hell of a legacy he's left behind for himself.
A fantastic filmmaker.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't quit Hollywood after that, but like, isn't it funny that both of our directors, one of their earlier projects that they were given almost made them quit Hollywood entirely, but then coming back, they just made everything awesome.
Yeah.
Because they both were just like, I would really just rather die than do that again.
And they're both named David.
That's some Mulholland Drive shit. But I think the hard part about Twin Peaks is, A, not spoiling things that happen, because honestly, like, you really gotta see that show to see to believe it.
Yeah.
Because you can't just be like, if I tried to explain what the deal with Bob was, like, how? Like, how do I even? All I can say is, I feel, Twin Peaks more than anything else, if M. Night Shyamalan was good, he'd make something like Twin Peaks. Because that weird, like, off-kilter dialogue and writing where, like, no real people talk or act this way, but it sucks you in regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And it's shot very well. I love the cinematography and music in that show so much.
The music.
Is who doesn't know the music of when they like take the thing off and they find out it's Laura? Like that's in like so many parodies.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there it is.
Dum,
Dum.
dum.
I think I'm excited to see where it picks off because everyone I know reliably has said that it's steering back on course. But that being said, I was never sure what the course for the show was.
Yeah.
I was just kind of along for the insane, bizarre ride. And it delivered.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the real reason you watch that show is for two reasons. The characters and the performances. Because the performances are fantastic. Even though people are like, it's got bad acting, I'm like, no.
You hold your tongue.
There's a difference. I believe it was my good buddy pal, Nick Spheres. He talked about a movie called The Possession. It's one of his favorite movies, and he referred to, like, some people accuse the main actor and actress of overacting. And he's like, they do this thing called acting their ass off, where they just put literally everything into it, and it's like a spectacle in and of itself. And that's everyone in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, anytime Ray Wise speaks, things of beauty, and Jack Nance, things of beauty.
She's dead. Wrapped in plastic. Don't drink that coffee. There was a fish in the percolator.
Also,
Jack Nance.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
Intentionally, though. I feel like people are like, I don't know if it's, like, it's supposed to be funny because Lynch has a strange sense of humor. It works, though.
Yeah.
I'll be damned if it doesn't work. And it's just, like, it's got that small town, like, I love the premise of things, like, the small town with something bigger going on behind it. Like, think about how many things we like with that shit. Like, Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Donnie Darko. Most Spielberg movies. They all kind of have that.
Stephen King things.
The best thing I would compare both Twin Peaks and David Lynch to is like an impressionist painting. Like, you get what it looks like, it's just painted completely differently instead of realism.
Yeah.
It's probably the thing that I would watch first, though. Like, if you're looking to get into David Lynch,
I should have.
it's weird enough for you to be intrigued, but straightforward enough for you to know what's happening.
Yeah, I should have started with it. I started with Blue Velvet, and I was like,
You overthought it.
oh, yeah.
I think
I don't understand the purpose of anything.
my favorite part of Twin Peaks, though, is the movie Fire Walk with Me. I actually think I might like that more than the show. I'm not sure. Maybe just as a companion piece.
As a whole, I probably do.
Yeah.
But, like, Season 1 is just my favorite thing in anything ever.
Yeah, I'll say that. Like,
and, like, the first half of Season 2.
It's good. It just kind of derails. But Fire Walk with Me, I think, is, like, one of the most unfairly maligned movies ever.
Yeah.
Now everybody likes it because, you know, Twin Peaks is such a cult hit. But, like, I just think that movie's executed beautifully.
Yeah. It haunts me to this day.
It's, who's Laura?
Cheryl Lee.
Cheryl Lee.
We're married.
Is phenomenal. And, you know, because you don't really get a lot of her in Twin Peaks because, you know, she's dead.
Wrapped in plastic.
Wrapped in plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And
fish in the percolator.
Here you really...
What the fuck's a percolator?
I don't know. Genuinely. I just have no idea. I was just like, yes, Jack Nance, the percolator, of course.
Of course, naturally.
But you get to understand why everyone was so distraught by Laura dying. Like, you just sort of get, like, because she was a lovely person who just had a lot of horrible shit happen to her.
Like, all
the horrible things.
Everything.
It's just, like, every bad
like, literally,
thing
you think of the things that happen...
And then it rains.
Yeah.
It's, like, she has the worst dark night of the soul, and then she's, like, so selfless and, like, self-sacrificing in the end, and it's...
And then you get to see her father kill her.
And
just,
spoilers, by the way.
Just the worst thing ever
and
to
Bob
watch.
Simultaneously.
I know.
Oy vey. And anything in the Black Lodge is great. Anything and everything. David Bowie.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
In his Oscar-winning performance of running down a hallway.
And then having water. Just water.
Just
and
water.
His face.
I mean, he's running, so you gotta get something to cool down.
that was probably the logic. If you can, track down the version of Fire Walk with Me that doesn't have half of the movie cut from it.
I was not fortunate enough to track down that version.
Yeah, I want to buy the newer version of that.
Still gave it a 9, though.
You'd probably get a 10 from you, I'd
Most
guess.
certainly.
Because it's just so... Like, there's never been prequels that have really satisfied me in many ways. Fire Walk with Me, though, gets the job done.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's significantly better than the show. I'd pretty much put it on par. I just think I might like it a bit more. But, yeah, Twin Peaks is great, and you should watch it. But, ironically, it's just kind of the thing I have the least to say about.
I mean, what else can you say?
Like, you know, it's weird and awesome.
Go.
Go! Go! We're good.
We are also referencing Spider-Man 2.
The best no in all of cinema.
Go!
Other than maybe the one at the end of the movie, which might be Tobey Maguire saying no, but I just kind of interpret it as
no!
Go! Mario Kart. 3, 2, 1, go! But David Lynch. So let's move on from Twin Peaks because it's honestly just go watch it. You know why it's good.
Yeah.
Or if you don't like, and here's the thing, if you don't like Twin Peaks, don't watch David Lynch's movies.
No,
you're not gonna like it.
No,
you will not.
And more importantly, if you don't like Twin Peaks of it, fuck you.
I would recommend reading interpretations of the movie online because it does help. Trying to figure it out. That's the first thing I did with Eraserhead, even though I was like mostly sure what it was. But you know, it helps. But Renegade Cut's got some great videos on David Lynch. Watch those.
This is the first person you should go to.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, his Mulholland Drive one.
It's the only endorsement he will get from me.
Watch the Mulholland Drive episode because honestly, you can use that as a blueprint for the rest of his movies. Just dream logic. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
So, what is your the non-Dune, but your least favorite? I'm guessing would be Inland Empire.
Wild at Heart.
Oh, Wild at Heart. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Did you finish it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's wasn't it because it's the writer is different?
Probably, but it's like David Lynch trying to be conventional and trying to make a Tarantino movie when Tarantino hadn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you don't wear this well.
It's too restrained.
Yeah.
It's the only one of his things. I mean, even Dune is bonkers crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas Wild at Heart just kind of feels like Lynch.
You're like, yeah, sure, it's really violent. These characters are super boring and uninteresting.
Well, and Nicolas Cage is also holding back.
Yeah.
In a time period where he was known for not holding back. I mean, this is post Raising Arizona and pre Face Off.
Yeah, and it's like David Lynch and Nicolas Cage. You had to say those. That's all you had to say to me. And
To sell you.
Yep, I'll take it. I'll take 5.
But like, I don't know. It's just the movie I can describe as oddly underwhelming. There is nothing, and I also feel like I got the point. Like one of the appeals of Lynch and movie making in general for me is going back and watching movies over again, and either enjoying how much they hold up or enjoying them because they're so well put together you enjoy them for different reasons. Wild at Heart's not a movie like that. Like, I could watch Mulholland Drive a second time and come up with a completely different interpretation of when I walked away from it the last time.
Yeah.
With Wild at Heart, I'm like, no, I guess I get it. And that really loses something for me, because even Twin Peaks has that.
I don't really know if that's what makes me lose it. It's just like, every film of his has great characters.
Mm-hmm.
Except like that and Inland Empire.
Yeah.
Because Inland Empire doesn't even have characters. It's just Laura Dern being scary.
I think the problem with Wild at Heart overall is it just... Not only that, I guess it just lacks nuance. There's nothing... I like it visually. It's very good just because, all of Lynch's movies look good, except for Inland Empire. But, again, restrained is the word I would use there, because it feels like it wants to go further, like it wants to delve into full batshit. It just never goes there. And I feel like it should have.
I just really don't understand what they wanted to do.
Personally, with Nick Cage's character was kind of how they lost me.
Yeah,
because I haven't seen it in a while, but it reminds me, and I only saw bits and pieces of it. Honestly, I think I've seen half the movie really, but Cage was not compelling enough as a performance or a presence, which again never happens. But I just felt like the movie presents him and then says nothing about him. Just like, here's this guy. Here's him doing things for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, alright. Would it technically be his most violent film?
Probably, yeah.
Blue Velvet in parts, but not as. And, if you count car crashes, Mulholland Drive, but even then,
it's not
fairly restrained car crash.
Yeah, really.
And that's another thing why I don't like it, I guess, is it's just not much to say. It's a well-made film.
It's like the most 5 out of 10 thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's perfectly average. And I don't know. It just feels...
There's just not a lot that is interesting
feels empty
about it.
But now I feel like we can begin to talk about the things that are interesting.
Yeah.
Inland Empire is the next one, I'm guessing?
Yes, sir.
Inland Empire is a movie that no one's seen, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody talks about it.
I wouldn't even really recommend it.
Unless you are a hardcore Lynch fan. Like, really hardcore. Which we both are.
Yeah.
Which is why. The movie's movie has two big weaknesses for me. And they're not even things that happen within the movie, because I'm never bored while watching it. It's just that the fact that the movie is way too long and that it looks ugly.
Yeah,
The visuals work in some parts.
I have like 3 real problems with it. It's ugly, it's way too long, and there's like 0 cohesiveness.
No. And then some people will say, like, oh, well, Lynch doesn't make cohesive films. It's like, no, he
he does.
does. It's just not in the conventional way that they're cohesive. Everybody still has arcs. Everybody still, like, goes through something and they have setups. It's just not, spoon-fed. You gotta look a little deeper. But Inland Empire is just, like, a 3-hour-long experiment.
Yeah, and in that sense, I very much respect it, because, like, the whole idea of it came up with, David Lynch calling Laura Dern and being like, hey, you want to come over to my house and fuck around?
And then they filmed it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd say the movie's deeply haunting. There are just parts of that movie where, like, the shitty, like, digital quality of the film makes it feel like, documentary-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some of the scarier parts of the movie where that's really effective.
Yeah.
Like when Laura Dern runs the camera, and I don't like that. It is effective at being thoroughly disturbing, but I guess my biggest problem now that I think about it is thematically, I feel like it's just a sloppier retread of Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive. Because it's got the same things in it. Like, like especially Mulholland Drive. Like, the whole actress who has, the 2 separate sides of herself. She's got the version of herself that's in the room watching the TV. And, like, that's Mulholland Drive. And there's, it got parts where it sort of repeats its own structure. I mean, if it's 3 hours long, it's kind of inevitable, but it just... But it's perversely fascinating to me, because I've never seen anything like it, and I never will. And that's why I like it. I can't explain why I like it more than other things, or honestly why I like it at all. It's just hypnotic. I feel like if it was shot well, I would genuinely love it, but it's not shot well at all.
No.
Like, honest to God, it does look like a film student shot it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of made it. It kind of feels like if David Lynch was in film school, that's his student film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, if that was a student film, hella impressed. There are parts of that movie that thoroughly rattle me. Especially Laura Dern. And David Lynch wanted her to nab an Oscar so bad, he went to the middle of Hollywood Boulevard with a sign that said, "For your consideration," with Laura Dern's face. Which is my favorite thing about the whole movie.
Yeah, it's a legend.
He really is. And you know what? I'll actually side with him, is that he gets weird performances out of his actors, so a lot of people dismiss the acting in his movies. But I'd say Laura Dern is actually very Oscar-worthy in that movie. She acted her ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, frighteningly so. And, it's like she was the mumbly paleontologist from Jurassic Park. There's no way on earth I would think that somebody like her would scare me. But she does.
Mm-hmm.
Thoroughly. Yeah, it's just, it's ugly. I guess that's my biggest problem, because all of his films are gorgeous. Even Twin Peaks is gorgeous. It still looks like it was shot on VHS in the, opening episode. But it's got a charm to it. Inland Empire doesn't really have a charm to its look. It's just cheap.
Yeah. And I mean, I wholeheartedly respect it, but I watched Leon's video and I was like, dude, you're putting shit together here, and he did. I can guarantee you he did not.
It just kind of feels like stuff from his other movies amalgamated. Yeah. It is a collage of ideas, and if that kind of movie interests you, see it. It is the most stream of consciousness film I've ever seen. Like, even movies that I love that are like that, like Pink Floyd The Wall or Paprika, which are movies that are very comparable to David Lynch movies, they have a through-line narrative. They have arcs. They have things of substance in them. You just have to look for it. Like, even Pink Floyd The Wall, it's not that hard to get what's going on. Everybody's like, oh, you gotta be high to watch. It's like, no, it makes sense. You just gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Paprika. Inland Empire, I want to watch it again just to solidify my thoughts on it, just because it fascinates me, but it's not something I'm going to watch again because of, like, I enjoyed the experience. Because it's not an enjoyable film. It's just kind of relentlessly assaulting you with its strange.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say.
I still like it, though. I mean, it did not waste my time in the slightest if
Like,
you're going to be a movie like that.
It's neat.
Yeah. But I think if you're looking for something more substantial, go to Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive, because there's basically the same movie but with more focus and made better, a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So after that
Is the Elephant Man.
The Elephant Man, Lynch's most, I guess his most.
It's a movie.
It is a traditional movie in the sense that you do not have to be a fan of David Lynch to watch it. It is just a great film.
Yeah.
It is also one of the most heartbreaking films I've ever seen. It is excessively depressing.
Yeah, I think the only reason it is not in my top 100 with pretty much every other movie he's made is just because for something to be on my top 100, I have to enjoy watching it on some level.
I mean, I even kind of, quote-unquote, enjoy watching Inland Empire more, just because I'm like, this is fucking insane. Whereas The Elephant Man is just like... It rides that line of just being... It's one of those movies like Silence, where it's just really, really heavy to get through.
Yeah.
And I think you said it best. John Hurt. Where was the Oscar?
Mm-hmm.
I just, like... There are very few moments in cinema that just, like, I don't have to watch the entire scene or the entire movie, where I just see, like, a 13-second clip that just destroy me emotionally and can literally make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when he's, like, doing the whole, I'm not an animal, I am a human being. Like, I will cry. I will cry.
Mm.
And everyone in it is so good.
We, as a species, do not deserve to live.
Especially
We
considering...
can only wait for the sun to eliminate us with its rays.
And the saddest thing is, it's like, it was based off of a real thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like again, some parts are obviously embellished, but it's like,
Well,
this is a
most
thing.
of it's embellished.
Yeah, but it's like, this is about a guy who existed and was portrayed as a circus freak. Why, human race, you suck.
Settle the fuck down.
It's very... That's the thing with Lynch, is that I will either love to rewatch his movies, or I dread it because of the experience being so emotionally grating. And Elephant Man's up there with Eraserhead in terms of just having to be assaulted by sadness.
Mm-hmm.
It actually reminds me a lot of Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory, in the sense that there's just this hopeless, mostly nihilistic message, or not even message, just feeling you get. Like, the second half of of both movies, you just feel like your humanity has been assaulted. And Elephant Man does have its weirder parts for, Lynch fans, like the dream sequence, but it's like, it's not... I can recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. Just the one time, though.
Yeah, don't ever watch it more than once unless you're, like, a psychopath. Which, fine, I guess. Makeup is also incredible in that movie. I mean, the prosthetics for Elephant Man look really fucking real. Hold up very well.
Mm-hmm. I believe that was why the Oscar for Best Makeup was created.
Let me look up that, because I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I'm certain that's why.
Only number 149, huh? I'd put that higher, personally.
Steven, that poster just bums me out.
Yeah, it's got good posters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dodging Up for Strings is in that movie. Oh god, the usage of it. Christ. Nominated for 8 Oscars.
Yep.
How did it not win? Damn. Best
Because-
Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role, Best Director, Best Writing, Original Screenplay based on another medium, Costume Design, Direction, Set Direction, Film Editing, Original Score. Yeah, that's a lot. I actually did not know it was nominated for that much. Should have won Makeup and Music. Music, and it's also just bloody fantastic. And not to mention, if you like good, like just classy actors, movie's filled to the brim with. I mean, John Hurt, obviously. Anthony Hopkins fucking kills it. One of his best roles. Let's see, who else we got here? Anne Bancroft is really good in it.
Brief role, but
Yes, still very good. I mean, everybody is. It's all a lot of old Hollywood people. I don't have any complaints with that movie either. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I don't have anything to complain
give
about.
it a 9 just because it's just so brutal.
Yeah, I feel there's just something about it where I'm like, I can't call it perfect, but I don't think I should, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. There's like the pacing's fine. It's slower, but it's not boring at all.
No.
The drama is so compelling, and the like screenplay is just so riveting. And it's a movie like Birdman, where it's just like this movie is just people talking, and it's like the most enthralling. With Lynch's weirdness. But yeah, I mean, if you want something good, straightforward, it's decently fucked up and emotional. Elephant Man is your movie.
like the last scene is like the worst thing that's like the saddest fucking thing.
Oh god.
Just lays down because he wants to sleep like a normal.
On his back, and he knows he's gonna die.
He just wants to sleep like a normal human being.
And he dies that way, which is like the most beautifully tragic thing ever.
It's like, well,
maybe I want to sleep on my back tonight.
I'm gonna go set myself on fire.
Fucking
right.
7 psychopaths yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we need to talk about another movie because it's gonna bum me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Lynch is not a cheery director. By the way, Morgan came to the conclusion, by the way, that David Lynch is now his favoritist director in all of the Hollywoods, and he's gonna go up on my list here soon. But
yeah,
it makes sense.
So
Alright,
next on the list is Fire Walk with Me, but we already talked about that.
Blue Velvet.
Yes.
I love Blue Velvet. Always loved Blue Velvet. Even sometimes Lynch movies have to grow on you. It's just that kind of thing. I think Mulholland Drive kind of done that with me. But Blue Velvet is a lot simpler. Of his more esoteric films, it's the most easy. It's like the most easy to decipher.
Because I mean, there's not really much to decipher.
It's the only weird thing about it, I guess, is the imagery and structure feels weird.
It's just the atmosphere that it creates. There's nothing like confusing or strange about the through line of the film.
The performances in Blue Velvet, in my opinion, might be the strongest in his entire filmography. Because I think everyone just completely nails it.
With the exception of Cheryl Lee, I would agree.
Yes. I think, like, Kyle MacLachlan in it, pitch perfect weird. And, I mean, obviously, Frank Booth. Enough said. Not only one of the best performances of all time,
Dennis Hopper. You strange fuck.
He is in so many good movies, and I feel like Blue Velvet is the only time where I've really been able to see his genuine acting chops. He is one of the most thoroughly disturbing portrayals of human beings I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's just, like, people who you... And because the movie is so surreal, it's almost more affecting because of how just absolutely monstrous he is. Like, I can't think of movie characters that I just downright despise as much as him. I mean, like, there are. I just have to think really hard. Like, he makes fucking Patrick Swayze and Donnie Darko look like Santa Claus.
Good. Yeah, I can't really think of any characters I despise more than him that I'm, like, meant to. Because there's, like, Skylar in Breaking Bad, but I'm not ever convinced I'm supposed to hate her.
I think we're not supposed to like her. That much is certain. Yeah, Frank Booth is good because, with something like Skylar, you're not sure how much the writers want you to not like her, I guess is the point. I think they don't really want to at all, but again, there is a gray area. Frank Booth is great at being, like, the most pure evil, because normally just like, oh, well, he's just evil. But he is so freakishly, strangely evil, it stands out. And one of my favorite Lynch performances in general, if not my favorite, maybe only topped by, well, I mean, probably half the cast of Twin Peaks, but Jack Nance in Eraserhead and maybe Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive. Probably.
Dennis Hopper is your favorite?
Probably. He's just really fucking good in it.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I feel a lot of, they say a lot of Silent Hill is based off David Lynch movies, and I certainly get some of them, like Eraserhead tonally, very much so. Blue Velvet in terms of like iconography though, and just tone.
Like Silent Hill very clearly pays homage to Blue Velvet, like every chance it gets.
Yes. Oh yeah, and Isabella Rossellini is fantastic.
Yeah.
Huh, this got an Oscar nominee for Best Director.
Yeah.
Deserved it. The direction is flawless.
He has 3 nominations for Best Director so far.
God damn, I kind of wish he won for at least one of them.
Yeah.
Elephant Man should have been the one that got him an Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, in terms of Blue Velvet, I want to say, I think it's my favorite looking Lynch movie, because Eraserhead is, like, more fresh in my memory, but I just like the way that Blue Velvet looks. It's got a very, it's both appealing and disgusting.
Yeah.
And, like, both grimy and shiny. And, the movie's main theme, I think, is about duality. Just, most of Lynch's movies are in one way or another. But, that one more so than anything else, because, like, the world is about duality, the characters are direct parallels of one another. And I just think it's definitely one of the more mesmerizing movies. Like, you can't half-watch Blue Velvet.
No, I don't understand how you could.
You have to, and it's not a movie you should think about.
Not really.
It's funny because David Lynch, his subtext and text in films is, like, reversed. So I feel like you think about his movies too much, with the exception of Mulholland Drive, because you kind of have to, but it feels, Blue Velvet's just like, here's a bunch of puzzle pieces, put the puzzle together, whereas Mulholland Drive makes you build the puzzle and then put it together. But I feel that it strikes a good balance. It might be my favorite Lynch movie to watch. Not necessarily my favorite in general. Because, again, it's hard labeling it, because I guess Eraserhead is technically my favorite. I don't enjoy watching it, but it's the movie of his that I think is the peak of his artistic capabilities. And I don't know. There's something about this movie that really appeals to me, and a lot of it's in the look. Aesthetically, it's just very, very nice. And I just have a giant man crush on Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I was like, this doesn't click. There's nothing. What? Frank Booth was scary. 6 out of 10.
Yeah. And now it's like, that.
It was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and there's not really a bad thing I can say about it. Another movie of his that I really just don't have a complaint with.
No, not really. I especially think we have like a soft spot for it because we both live in like a smaller town.
He does make movies like that. He like it's very Richard Kelly. Got the whole small town. Just a small town girl.
Just like born in Missoula, wherever that is.
What fuck, Wisconsin?
Yeah.
It just has a lot of the things that I like about it, but sprinkled with his trademark level of weird. So yeah, that's Blue Velvet. Next we got.
It's like
one of two. Well, yeah, it's one of three movies of his that I would call like a classic.
I think so too. I think that's the general consensus as well.
Mm.
Because Blue Velvet's a lot of
Like
people's favorite.
In terms of his films, like the classics go Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead, and Blue Velvet.
Mm-hmm.
And like Blue Velvet is the one that is most like a film.
There's like I'd say that there is only one that teeters on being a classic, and that's Lost Highway.
I don't know. Not enough people.
Yeah, I feel like if more people watched it, they would.
Yeah.
Is that next on the list too?
Yeah.
Lost Highway. Oh, perfect segue then.
Segue.
I like Lost Highway a lot more than most people do. I mean, I also like Inland Empire more than most people do, but Lost Highway is an actual movie.
Yeah. That had like thought put into it.
I feel like it strikes the balance of being weird and comprehensible a little bit better for me than say Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, and you were talking about the look of Blue Velvet being like your favorite of his.
Yeah.
My favorite like look in a movie of his is Lost Highway.
I can understand
like
why.
It's just the most neo noir thing.
Blue Velvet, Lost Highway, and Mulholland Drive look just like that. That's my aesthetic right there.
Yeah,
love them all.
And I like the colors in Lost Highway.
Yeah, it actually, visually speaking, reminds me of like a slightly toned down Refn.
Yeah, I could see
the neo noir aesthetic to that movie, and I think that I also think it's Lynch's most it not disturbing or scary, but creepiest movie.
Yeah, because there's not really a character in that movie that doesn't kind of creep you out.
I mean, yeah, everybody does. Kyle MacLachlan is just very off.
What?
What do you mean?
Kyle MacLachlan's not in.
Oh, fuck! Who am I thinking of?
Bill Pullman.
I confuse them literally all the time. Yes, Bill Pullman. I don't. Let me look at them. They don't look remotely alike. Why do I miss?
They both look like a dude. That is the extent of it. I was watching the end of the movie where he's hanging out with the mystery man.
Yeah. And
they're on the beach in front of the beach house or whatever, and he puts his leather jacket on. I'm that's Trent Reznor.
I need to watch it again just so I can be yeah,
Trent Reznor's in this movie. That's nice.
But
Trent Reznor now, not in 1997.
I wonder, because we like Lost Highway a lot more than most people do.
Yes.
I mean, a lot Lynch fans like it, but not a lot of people do otherwise.
Ebert typically gave it
two thumbs down. Yeah, man, you're not. The movie is not that weird though.
Not really.
I mean, it's about a guy trying to hide. The obvious, he goes to jail, the death thing in the middle of the movie. It's you're not dying. It's just change. He's suppressing his rage and becoming a different person, but he does the same shit.
Yeah.
So it's oh, so basically David Lynch is just saying you're gonna be fucked up and you're always gonna be fucked up no matter what. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen a movie do that before. It's an anti-arc.
Yeah, it's
It's Nightcrawler. That's actually a movie I would compare very similarly to it. It feels a lot like Nightcrawler.
Yeah. This one isn't we talk about duality a lot in terms of David Lynch, and this one isn't so much duality as inevitability.
Yeah, the only duality part of the movie is just the main character, the first part and the second part.
Yeah, and he's not. It's not the same person though. Bill Pullman's character was not a mechanic.
That's true, but I think, at least the way I read the film is, I think it's the same guy. I think it's oh goodness, there's a movie that does what I'm thinking, where it's Enemy. I think it's the same thing as Enemy, where it's the two characters who represent a character who we actually don't see in the movie. It's just that it's entirely about his mind and his struggle with himself.
I haven't seen Enemy.
Okay, well, Enemy has, like, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal.
I'm familiar with it.
Playing two roles, and essentially that movie is... most people, like, I mean, Chris Stuckman and YMS read it the same way I did, which is Jake Gyllenhaal, like, the real main character of the movie is somebody who we never see, and it's like, one Jake Gyllenhaal's left brain, one Jake Gyllenhaal's right brain. That's what I think about Lost Highway, is we have first part left brain, second part right brain, and it's just him trying to go through change, and in that respect, wow, Enemy really just is mostly kind of the same movie as Lost Highway. I like Enemy a bit more, though. Just a bit. It's but that's the thing, is that, like, it's more about trying... Enemy actually does do the same thing with Inevitability, though, considering how it ends. But Lost Highway, I just think, is more about... They're both about the inability to change, despite all circumstances and effort. But I think it's, you know, also about, like, a guy learning to control how, like, both rage and, honestly, sexual frustration. A lot of that, too. I mean, that's a running theme in all of Lynch's movies, but I think especially in Lost Highway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very strange movie to talk about because it's so... It's like in a perfect gray area of you can get it upon first viewing, but you really gotta think about it for a while, and you're like, okay, concrete, think I liked that. Because I actually had the opposite experience with Lost Highways. I didn't like it at first, and then I was like, no, I actually think I do.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen. Like, Lynch might be the only director whose movies have done that to me. That and Mulholland Drive. So the more I think about that movie, the more I actually like it. Respect. But,
yeah. I mean, I think Lost Highway is just mostly about every guy ever.
Yeah, I think...
And, like, what would happen to those guys when they kind of put aside their inhibitions, because life is just continually beating them. And
it's the portrait of a truly broken man who any guy can identify with on some level.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the whole, like, sexual frustration thing, just because it's like, it's not explicitly about sex, it's more like the drive to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And how it's like this, you know, this impulse, this, like, just primal animal thing, and how it is very similar to rage, and that does share a lot in common with Blue Velvet. Lynch's movies intersect a lot. It's the...
Speaking of intersection, apparently Lost Highway and Twin Peaks are in the same universe.
Really? How so?
This is what Lynch said.
I buy it. It makes sense. Makes sense. On the trivia page? I would like to know.
Yeah, it's on there. That's just all it says is what I just told you.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, same fictional universe. But, it's one of his most rewatchable films, in my opinion, because...
It looks very nice.
It looks very nice, and like, there's not a single scene... Like, you know what's happening in every scene, you're just not really sure why, like, especially with the creepy cameraman, who is, in my opinion, the fucking scariest thing Lynch has invented, and he's invented some scary shit.
You knew what happened to that guy, right?
No.
He killed his wife and then got sent to prison.
Oh, that's right, I remember when I think I saw the Renegade cut, and he explained that in it, and it's like, wow, that's, really freakishly coincidental.
That Henry Rollins line about that the wife killer is making that noise. Like, which wife killer? That means something.
Yeah, and it's like just his fucking face, and the laugh. It's like the first time I saw him, I was just like, "What the fuck is this guy?" And then I just gradually kept seeing him and kept smiling and laughing less, and I was like, "You like honestly." Very much reminiscent of Heath Ledger's Joker in the way I don't know, this doesn't make sense, but the tone of his performance, it feels the same. He's like just
Yeah.
this entity that shows up and just
He just looms.
fucks with everything.
He just looms.
And like, because David Lynch has also done Frank Booth, fucking terrifying. Baby from Eraserhead, fucking terrifying. The whatever the fuck was in Mulholland Drive that scared poor what's his face to death. Hey. Uh-huh. Morgan.
I'm gonna pause.
Yes. All right, we're back.
Crown of shit.
And we now have 2 movies to talk about left. And Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead, yes?
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's do Eraserhead first, since Mulholland Drive is your favorite, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Eraserhead is a movie I will watch again one day, maybe.
Sometime.
Maybe.
Just see how low we get.
I had built up... I had built it up to Morgan over the years as being something that I was just genuinely afraid to rewatch because of what it did to me previously, and not to go into too much detail, but I was going through a rough patch in my life, and that movie perfectly captured what it was like to feel the way that I did, and it made me very uncomfortable and made me feel that way again, but in a way that was like the most bleakly beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's been my favorite David Lynch thing other than Twin Peaks for a while now. It's hard for me to decide, but once I go back and watch all this stuff, I think I'll refine that list a bit better. But movie is scarier than most horror movies for me. And I'm not even saying it's disturbing. It is, but it just actually frightens me.
My favorite thing about Leon's video about it. He's like, and towards the end of the film, he cuts open the child with a pair of scissors, and since this is a PG-rated show, I'm not going to show you that, but you can just go ahead and imagine that it's the worst thing ever, because it is.
The baby from Eraserhead is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. Not even just because it's terrifying on its own, it is, but just of what it does. Like, the sound of that movie is the sound of, like, a cold, empty metal warehouse with wind blowing in it, and the crying of an inhuman monster, and the occasional songs of Jack Nance's hallucinatory visions of a woman who is encouraging him to kill himself because that would relieve him of the burden of being alive.
So all in all, it's a cheery picture.
It's a cheery
You
picture.
should take your kids to see it.
It's just the saddest thing. Like, once you know that Lynch was afraid of becoming a father, that movie makes a lot of sense. And look-wise, I actually it's probably his most visually striking film, I think, because of just how... Like, his movies get weird visually. I don't think they've gotten Eraserhead weird.
No.
Like, the actual sequence for which the movie is named, like...
Excuse me?
That's actually something, like, I remember... I think it was the Red Letter Media review of that movie when Jay and the other guy that I actually like, they were talking about the movie. And Jay was just like, the only part of the movie that really loses me is that part, because I'm just really not sure what it's supposed to say yet. I mean, he's like, I like it from a technical level, I just don't really get it. Whereas I always saw that section as being like, your existence in life is so pointless that it is going to be made into something as bland as a pencil. Like, it's just the most nihilistic thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, you're a pencil. That's great. Can we go back to the Chipmunk Lady singing In Heaven?
Let's not go back to that. That's almost worse.
And I'm just like, I wish I was dead. And just the dinner scene in Eraserhead. Like, I love, because I always read that as more of a, that was how Jack Nance perceived that event. Like, his sexual frustrations were manifesting through him seeing the mom, like, just basically grope the shit out of him at that one part.
Yeah.
And, you know, the dad is just this brain dead, like, complete idiot, weirdo, creepy guy, and his girlfriend wife is just the most obnoxious person, and when she leaves, I'm almost like, I feel sorry for Jack Nance, but thank God she's out of the movie. Fuck her.
Mm-hmm.
She sucked.
You could say that you would like to erase her
Her-
head.
And he's got the neighbor across the hallway where, you know, she's all, like, kind of flirty with him.
Promiscuous. And then they'd be in.
Yeah, and the
And
bad.
then they sink into, like, mud or something.
Oh, God.
And then his head falls off. And then I'm like, what is happening?
Also has the weirdest sex scene in any movie.
I wish I was not alive.
Because it's just got the god dropping the sperm into the crater.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, like, you can tell that the visual effects are old, but they're not dated.
It makes it scarier.
Yeah, like, they look almost in an uncanny valley kind of way, where it's like, I can't really tell why this doesn't look entirely real, but it doesn't look not real, so it's just kind of freaky.
Mm-hmm.
And just the sound design in that movie is just haunting. Doesn't do that justice.
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, oh, P.T. makes sense now.
Yeah, right? Like, again,
Right.
if this movie had been nominated for Oscars like it should have been, sound design, easily win. And there is nothing that I've seen in my life that is more oppressively, aggressively bleak. There is no hope in this movie. The only hope you get is honestly from the prospect that your life will end and you won't have to be there anymore. And I'm like, well, okay.
You really started us off on a fun one, Mr. David.
Yeah, really. It's like, and not to mention, this is his first movie. It took him like 5 years to make it, but God bless, man. Like, good on you. I'm never gonna make anything that good.
This is his first movie, and then he's like, well, I guess we really have nowhere to go but up. I guess I'm gonna make Elephant Man, which is... It's not up. Never mind.
No.
He stayed.
It's like only slightly less bleak.
Yeah.
Only slightly. Not to mention just the babies. Like, even the babies looks terrifying enough, but it's the noises it makes. Is the fucking noises.
Every time I hear a baby crying from now on, I'm just gonna... Stop.
Yeah,
Shut it up.
You just
Shut it up. Shut it up.
You play PT and you're just like, oh, the fetus. Oh, I get it. Like, I think, yeah, Danny, when they did PT, was just like, oh, that is some Eraserhead shit.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was such a drag.
I mean, if Aaron had any idea what he was talking about, he'd be like, that movie's not good. That doesn't make any sense. Like, you were the stupidest man alive.
It is, you know, bleak and oppressive and nihilistic and all of these things, but it is also beautiful. Like, I think that's almost inarguable that, like, every frame of this movie, could be hung in a museum.
It's like 9 Inch Nails, the movie.
Dude, can you imagine if, like, I wouldn't want them to under any circumstance, but, like, they remade Eraserhead. Trent Reznor with the soundtrack. Oh my.
Well, I mean, we
God.
can just make an edit where
Yeah,
it's just the entirety
replace
of the downward
it.
spiral.
Like, Eraserhead. Every day is exactly the same, the movie. Downward Spiral, the movie. By the way, I'd just like to point out that the main character of this is Henry Spencer, which is the name of Sean Spencer's dad in Psych. Ta-da!
Alright.
It's an interesting little... Yeah, Eraserhead's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life, and I think it is a perfect work of genius.
Probably shouldn't watch it.
Probably shouldn't.
No.
If you are squeamish, don't.
No.
If you do not like esoteric things, don't. If you are looking to just get really fucked up, Go for it. Because honestly, like, while Lynch does have, his creepier movies and scenes, I wouldn't call any of his movies horror movies. Eraserhead qualifies, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Just like half of Inland Empire is a horror movie. The other half is like David Lynch does improv dialogue. But like they're just segments, whereas this whole movie is just thoroughly unnerving and frightening.
You're like, how about this atmosphere?
I mean, yeah, it's a fantasy horror on IMDb, and it's like, yeah, I would classify it as both of those things.
I would like to die now.
The lighting in it is also like, you don't pay attention to the lighting in black and white movies a lot.
To die. Thank you, Zach.
What is that from?
Something Zach said.
Yeah.
Something.
I can't remember what though. It's probably Digidoldrums.
Wait, yeah, it is.
It's Dark Souls.
The only way I remember
It
it.
is Dark Souls. But yeah.
Wish there was a fan in this room.
And now we arrive at the final.
We arrived at Mulholland Drive.
At Mulholland
Right.
Drove.
Rhyming.
A movie I did not super care for when I first watched it. Then I watched it again and was like, okay, I don't really like it, but
Why?
I get it now that it's been explained to me through, again, Leon's videos, and I just haven't watched it since I've watched the Renegade cut of it, because the Renegade cut on Mulholland Drive is longer than the movie.
No, it's not.
Isn't it?
No, Mulholland Drive is 2 hours and 27 minutes. His video was like 59.
Oh. Felt that long. Anyway, it just, Mulholland Drive was the first movie of David Lynch's I decided to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just mainly because of Roger Ebert.
You fucked up.
Yeah, don't watch this first.
No.
It's probably his cinematic, like, technique-wise, his best film. I can't think of anything that is quite better than it. Like, I think Eraserhead is more interesting looking, but I think Mulholland Drive is just, like, masterfully directed. There's never a part in that movie.
Billy Ray Cyrus is in this movie.
Yes, he is. Oh my god. The cast is just... Oh
I
boy.
think this is really... You hear that voice crack? It was hot.
Yeah.
I think this is really why it's my favorite of his. It's just ungodly funny.
It is, and very darkly so.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where Lynch is great at making you be terrified and laugh at the same time, and Mulholland Drive has a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the old people, it's like, jeez, I'm actually scared now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's like it's really glad that
the movie,
she got molested by her
it's-
grandparents. I'm gonna go kill myself.
yeah, it's funny because, like, upon watching Mulholland Drive, I thought I was like, I watched it online, and halfway through the movie, I was like, wait, did something happen? Was this uploaded improperly? Because it just repeats itself. I was like, oh, no,
Yeah.
that's the movie.
That's just a movie.
That's just the movie. And at first I was just like, well, that's just stupid. And then I, like, read about it, thought about it, watched it again, and was like, alright, this is good. It's just not for me. Now I am, unquestionably, I'd like it. It's also his most interesting movie, I would say. There's...
Again, because characters.
Yeah. Well, again, a lot of duality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the main two actresses, again, they're the same
They
person.
both play different characters.
Yes. Like, even the intentionally funny things in this movie, they hit really well.
Yeah.
I like just the jokes about, like, it's so very, like, I think that Mulholland Drive, just as, like, the thesis for it, is David Lynch became somewhat successful and finally got to go to Hollywood and not have to be, like, super indie underground, and started getting accustomed to what Hollywood was like, and then noticed how fucking crazy it all was. I was like, I want to make a movie about how it feels to be in the business of Hollywood, but make it like a quasi-satirical horror film,
Yeah.
and he did it. Like, there, like, because Mulholland Drive is a movie where, like, the entirety of the setting, it's like a different world. It doesn't feel like it's happening on Earth. It also doesn't feel like it's happening on Earth in a place where logic. It's like Alice in Wonderland. Actually, oh my god! It actually
It's the Wizard of Oz.
that too. Yeah,
Primarily, that's
it's
what it
like
is.
it's like the Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, but with like lesbians.
Mm-hmm. So better.
Yeah. But it's just, who is the cinematographer for that?
Good question.
They did
I already have the page open.
such a good drive. A good drive.
You get your hand.
A good drive. What?
Peter Deming. I don't know who that is.
Oz the Great and
Yeah,
Powerful.
isn't that funny? How this keeps happening to us.
Okay, Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's very well. And the new Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
He was an actor in Scream 2 and 3, playing a guy who ate popcorn.
I don't really understand.
Cinematography. Upcoming projects?
Drag Me to Hell and The Love Guru.
Drag Me to Hell, I get. Cinematography in the movie's actually great. Guess what his upcoming project, one of them is?
X-Men.
The New Mutants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright then.
Wait, Rosario Dawson's in that too? Good God. Just, Lord, Marvel, cool it with the Rosario. She's cool. Just keep her in Daredevil.
Alright, Josh Boone, I think I kind of need you to put the brakes on this X-Men movie for a second. Just, make the stand.
Yeah.
Because it says you're going to do that.
Oh my God, he shot Evil Dead 2. That's the best thing.
That's neat.
In a movie called Purple People Eater.
That's an even better thing.
As you do. Cinematographers are weird. Oh, and Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Yep.
And, wait a minute, what is this shit?
It's the TV pilot. Because this was going to be a TV show.
Oh.
And then the television station was like, what the fuck?
So, is this actually just the movie, but, like, then Lynch added more? Because it's got, like, the same cast. Honestly, that's kind of funny, though, that the TV station was like, we're not going to do this. Because it's like, Mulholland Drive is only slightly weirder than Twin Peaks. Like,
Yeah.
only slightly.
And it's really just because everything's out of order.
Mm-hmm. And I actually think the fact that this was once a TV show doesn't kill the pacing of the movie. In fact, it just kind of reinforces, like, how kind of choppy the story is, makes it feel a little bit more, I don't know, episodic in how the scenes happen. Like, every scene in that movie feels like its own mini, like, episode.
Mm-hmm.
At first, they don't really have anything to do with each other, and then the movie ends, and you're like, okay, so maybe this person was also this person, and then all of these scenes are actually the same scene.
Yeah, no, I watched it for the first time at, like, I finished it by, like, 2 in the morning, and I was just like, well, great, I'm going to bed.
Dude, like, your brain, you've just been like, I can't do anything anymore.
Hey, great. Going to sleep. And then in the morning I watched Leon's video, and I'm like,
Oh!
that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's just like, thank God somebody did that, because otherwise, like, reading about interpretations of these movies is so difficult. Because reading it is just like, so this person and this person did this thing, and it's like, okay.
Dude, what? Who?
Okay.
Shut up.
Please be more clear in what you're talking about, please, because I don't know what the fuck are you doing.
Yeah, I was like, through like the first 2 hours or so, I was like, yeah, this is like one of my favorite movies, top 30 or so. And then like the last half hour happened, and I was like,
oh my God, I completely forgot that Jeremy Irons was in Inland Empire. Sure was.
Stay on topic, sir.
What now?
Stay on topic.
Oh. you know, it's
like,
still.
I'm telling a story. He's like, yeah,
It's-
Jeremy Andrews in Inland Empire. Fuck what you're saying. Talk over me. Don't be a baby. This is your fault. I should be the one with my feelings hurt. You ducked over me.
I thought you finished.
I was not. I was like literally in the middle of making a point. It
Didn't make the point.
was like first 2 hours Mulholland Drive. I was like, this is really cool. Probably like top 30 through top 50, something like that. And then like the last 20 minutes happened. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this has just been my life for the past year.
Yeah,
Great. I want to die.
it's cool.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the blue box?
Except you don't know.
Reality.
God.
Your life.
I don't like that.
Box. And it sucks. Your life sucks. Kill yourself. And then she does. And I'm like, oh God.
Cool.
But yes, I have very, very rare that I have ever connected with a movie on that level like that, and I could
It's
not.
a very unique way to do it. Like,
and I could not have picked a better time in my life to watch it.
I feel like it's only uniquely that way you can, like, with Lynch's movies are so specific in how they appeal to people, it's like only Mulholland Drive could have done it that way. Nothing could fill that void.
I'm also not like completely convinced it's a David Lynch movie because it's like so unlike really any of his others in tone.
Tone, yes.
I mean, it's most like Lost Highway,
Yes.
but even that's like barely a David Lynch movie.
Also, the reason that Inland Empire looks like shit is because David Lynch was the cinematographer. It was the only movie he was the cinematographer for.
Well, and he had like dick cameras.
He had, like, my shitty digital camera I had when I was, like, in middle school to shoot that movie.
He's like,
I'm also fairly certain he used in-camera audio.
yeah. And he was like, I think I'm just gonna release this in theaters. And he was like, fucking why, David? Just put it on YouTube. It'd be cool that way.
My God, if that was, he would have been, like, invented viral marketing.
Yeah, apparently, like, he sent that in to marketing people, and they were just like, how do we get anyone to see this? David, you gotta, like...
It's like, we need to put this in theaters, man. How do we sell this?
And then David was just like, it's about a woman, and she's, like, in trouble. And they're just like, I guess that's going on the poster. All right, I guess.
You know, hold on. I'm curious. What is the trailer to Inland Empire?
Was there one?
Apparently,
All right, let's watch it together.
Inland Empire. Dopo?
El Dopo.
Alberto. That Twin Peaks music, though.
It's totally David singing.
There was the
You can tell because the singing is like just right out of his nose.
God, that thing can just
Yeah.
fuck right off.
I will not have. Stop, please.
Oh, the faces in this movie.
And her
Yep.
freaking Russian.
The screwdriver. The faces in this movie can just fuck right off. I mean, I guess this is the only way you can make a trailer for something like this.
I mean, I would unquestionably be seeing
Yeah. It just looks like an exploitation film. In most ways, it kind of is.
Yeah. It's
That's not
okay. I guess
right.
that's French.
Oh, God.
He has 10. He has exactly 10 movies.
That list is going to be so fucking bad. We're talking, there's a Watch Mojo for top 10 David Lynch movies. They will unquestionably be wrong. 10 will be Inland Empire. Because, yeah. 9 will be Twin Peaks because nobody likes it. 8 will be Wild at Heart. The rest of the, Mulholland Drive or Eraserhead is number 1, I guess.
Yeah. Not because they actually think that, but because they have to.
Or hell, maybe Elephant Man. I don't know. Very possible.
I'm beginning to perspire.
Oh. Okay, we need to end the podcast right now. We're finished talking about David Lynch movies. It's really they're all really, 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 really good.
Bye.
We love you.